Welcome back. In this video, we're going to see on how to generate the consistent errors so as to be able to distinguish our kind of errors that we need to see, and we'll have to add our custom messages, and we'll have to also base on the status code, and we'll use the same behavior in the controller. I'm going to minimize my my Postman, and I'm going to close this terminal, and inside my API project I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, and I'm going to call this as errors, and this is where now we are going to be adding all about the errors, and I'm going to create a class that will help us with the error responses, and I'm going to go ahead and say new C# class, and I'm going to say I'm going to call this as API response, and press enter. And in this case, we need to remove unnecessary usings. And we are going to add the properties. For each error, we'll be having like a message and now the status code. And for where we don't get the message, we have to leave that as null, and we have to return only the error response. And I'm going to say plop, and this will be an integer, and this will be for the status code. And again we're going to add the other one for the message, and I'm going to give this as a string, and I'm going to call this as message. All right, and I'm going to generate the constructor that will help us to initialize these fields. So I'm going to use the control and dot for quick fix, and I'm going to create the controller like this one. And inside this controller, we need to bring in the status code. I'm going to say int status code, and we have to make this as small s. And secondly, we need to add the message, a string message, and we have to give this initialization as null. And after doing this, we're going to initialize this one below, and we're going to assign the values from the parameter. So I'm going to say that status code will be equal to status code from the parameter, like this one. And again, we need also to add the message, and I'm going to say message is going to be equal to message, and we're going to use this operator. And we're going to say I'm going to assign this to a new method that we're going to be creating that will help us to get the error responses. And I'm going to say that get default message for status code, like this one, and I'm going to pass in the status code. All right, and honestly, we don't have this method, but we're going to use the quick fix so as to be able to generate it. So I'm going to press control dot, and I'm going to generate this method, and it came here. I'm going to bring this down so as to be able to make this look clean. And inside here, we're going now to add the switch statement that is going to help us with now the error responses. And instead of using switch and case, we're going to use this modern switch from C#, and I'm going to say return, and I'm going to say status code that will be coming from the parameter, this one, and I'm going to say switch, and I'm going to say, and here is now where I'm going to be dealing with the errors. So I'm going to be saying that whenever we get 400, I'm going to say that you have made, this is now the message that will be populated, a bad request. And I'm going to add the comma, and I'm going to do for one, and I'm going to say you are not authorized to access this endpoint. All right, and I'm going to add the other one for 404, which is now the not found. The resource was not found. And again, I'm going to add this for 500, and this will be an internal server error. I'm going to say there occurred an internal server error. And lastly, we're going to add the default. In order to handle the default, we're going to add this underscore, and I'm going to say null, and you need to finish off by putting this And after doing this, we can go ahead and use this inside the product controller. So we see where we were returning, for example, let me see, I'm going to go to the testing controller, and you see where we were trying to return the not found. And for this case, I can go ahead and say new API response, and I'm going to bring this from errors, and I'm going to pass in the code as 404. And we're going also to see where there is this bad request without the validation. I'm going to say new API response, and we're going to pass in now the 400. And for now, we can leave this as it is, and you can go ahead and test. And we didn't touch this for server error and this bad request, as you're going to be adding specific validation for the model state, and you see on how to add the middleware that will be helping us to identify this exception and be able to handle them. So we're going to restart the server and go back to the Postman to see if now it is working as expected. So I'm going to restart the server. And when you go back into the Postman and you try to send this request for the not found and click on send, you will see that you will see different kind of errors here. You can see that you are getting now this custom status code in the error message that we set, and you can do this example for now the this 400 error, and you will see what is going to bring. You can see that now it is bringing the error that we set and the exact status code. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to add the not found endpoint error handler, and we'll see on how we can do that so as to be able to meet the requirement for this. And we'll see now how we can do that in the next video. So see you there. Stay cool and peace.